Every home has a story that is a reflection of the people who once called it home and the place where it stands the test of time. This Greek Revival-style home in Clinton, Michigan, built around 1845, truly embodies the pioneering spirit of Michigan. Originally built by the Penningtons, this home remained in the family for 100 years before it became part of one of the most iconic chapters in Michigan history. This is its housestory. John Pennington was born August 26, 1778 in Stafford, Monmouth County, New Jersey, to Israel and Abigail Pennington. He married Hannah Willits in 1806, and they had 6 children. The Penningtons were Quakers, with Monmouth County, New Jersey being an established Quaker community dating back to 1665. Quakers believe that every person has direct access to God. As such, they do not have religious leaders such as priests or pastors, and they do not pay tithes. Quakers are conscientious objectors who do not participate in war, and they believe in living simple lives. In 1829, John and his family moved from New York to Michigan. John purchased 80 acres of land in Lenawee County, Michigan on December 1, 1830, as shown here in his land deed. The Land Act of 1820 lowered the price of land as well as reduced the standard tract size from 160 acres to 80 acres, making it easier for the average family to move west. In addition, the opening of the Erie Canal in 1825 connected the Great Lakes to the Hudson River in New York, which spurred many settlers to travel west to escape the burgeoning population in the Northeast. The Penningtons' trip west was likely by covered wagon, with children ranging in age from 2 to 21 years. John and his family were the first settlers in this area of roughly 12 miles. Imagine being the only people within a 12-mile radius without a phone or a car. No general store, no doctor, no one outside of your family to help you in an emergency. The bravery and determination of these families is something most of us today will never understand. John and his 2 oldest sons, Israel and John, cleared this heavily wooded area and built a shanty. They then cleared an additional 23 acres to plant the first crops in the township. Soon the rest of the family joined them, and in 1834 John purchased an additional 160 acres of adjoining land, followed by an additional 160 acres, ultimately owning 400 acres of land. It took John several years to construct this home. The Greek Revival style was popular in the mid-19th century due to an American fascination with Greek culture. Rectangular structures with triangular roof lines and front porches adorned with Greek columns typify this architectural style. The original home is the front-facing structure with several additional buildings that were added over time. As such, it has a rather unusual floor plan with this large entryway and smaller rooms to each side, each with a traditional fireplace and one large room likely used as a bedroom upstairs. John lived here until his death on December 29, 1860. According to Quaker memorial documents, his final 6 months were marked with great suffering, including dementia. His wife Hannah continued to live here until her death in 1864. She was described as a tender and affectionate wife and a devoted mother. Upon their death, the house passed to their son John Jr. and his family. John was born in 1813 in New York and married Mary Harriet on December 5, 1839. They had 12 children, 10 daughters and 2 sons, of which 4 daughters and 2 sons survived past childhood. These rooms were filled with children laughing and playing. The family gathered around these fireplaces on the cold Michigan winter nights, likely reading the Bible. These 1874 drawings of homesteads in the area include this home, which looks remarkably similar to how it does today, and gives us a glimpse of what John and his family knew to be home. We can see the family tending to the fields and that the barns were already constructed, and also how heavily wooded the surrounding area was at the time. Upon their deaths, Mary in 1880 and John on January 6, 1883, the home then passed to John Jr.'s son, John Mark. John Mark was born in this home on December 17, 1853. He married Ella Clarkson on May 27, 1886. This is the home where Ella grew up, just down the road from the Penningtons. Somehow, somewhere along the horse-trodden paths between their 2 childhood homes, romance blossomed between John Mark and Ella. Perhaps it was abiding love, or perhaps it was out of necessity, but they came together and continued to operate the farm and raise a family. This map shows John Mark Pennington and his brother Baron Pennington as owning this farm and the property designated as the Pennington sisters as owned by their sisters. We can also see land owned by Isaac Pennington, which was John Mark and Baron's uncle. It is easy to see why this area came to be known as Pennington's Corners, thanks to their grandfather John, who bought so many acres of land. John Mark and Ella had one son, Richard, who was born in 1891. He grew up in this home and later attended Michigan Agricultural College, as seen here in 1914. John Mark lived in this home until his passing in 1927, which was a result of myocarditis, or heart disease. Richard sold this home a century after his great-grandfather first arrived on the property and ushered in a new and extraordinary chapter in this home's history. Property records indicate that the home was purchased by Quirk Farms, a division of Ford Motor Company. Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motor Company, amassed a tremendous fortune through his revolutionary assembly line production method. Henry Ford was a complex man who had a variety of interests. In the 1930s, Ford bought numerous farms around Detroit, renovating and furnishing the homes and then renting them to his employees. He wanted to apply his industrial practices to the farm industry to yield cheaper goods and food for all by increasing productivity with technologically advanced farming equipment. Yet at the same time, he also wished to recreate the rural community of his youth that the automobile systematically dismantled. This home became the Macon headquarters for his agricultural project, and he is said to have stayed at the home on occasion. A look inside the later additions to the property show this large room, which is the perfect place for a corporate meeting or party, as well as office space and a large workshop where Ford and his colleagues likely experimented with steam engines for tractors and possibly the soybean car, a plastic automobile made from soybeans, the perfect blend of agricultural and industry that truly represents the complexity of Henry Ford. Henry Ford's aspirations abruptly ended with World War II, followed by his death in 1947. Subsequent owners of this home applied for it to be part of the National Register of Historic Places because of its incredible history that perfectly blends Michigan's pioneer history with the auto industry that came to symbolize the state. As to the question of who still haunts these halls and roams these rooms, I expect John Mark Pennington, the man who was born and eventually died on this property, to be the most likely spirit. For John Mark, this will always be home.